Today on Investigate TV Plus, they raise their hand to defend their country. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. Despite that sacrifice, our investigation found tens of thousands of service members are without a roof over their heads.
So you were either homeless or on the brink of being homeless, and the Veterans Affairs Department said there's nothing we can do.
Twice.
An in-depth look at veteran homelessness and how a seemingly small project is already having a big impact on those who served.
Plus, they risk everything for their country, but when many veterans come home, their trauma follows.
We didn't get to mourn that loss because we had missions to do.
The existing technology getting a second look to treat PTSD in service members.
And the power of letter writing.
Dear Wayne, it's been so long since I've heard from you.
Hear the love story forged from putting pen to paper. In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus.
The U.S. faces a growing issue, homelessness.
One group at risk of not having a stable roof over their heads are U.S. veterans.
After 2 years of steady decline, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development says veteran homelessness is on the rise again, up 7% from 2022 to 2023.
One organization says it has a model that works to get vets off the streets and on the path to success.
It's a big goal that stems from a tiny idea. Investigative reporter Kristen Crowley takes us to veterans' villages popping up around the U.S.
More than 18 million people alive today took an oath to serve their country and protect it. They are America's veterans. But despite their sacrifice for the land we call home, they are twice as likely to end up without any home of their own.
I like it because it's small.
Tim Schmidling is one of them.
How many times in your life have you been homeless?
3 now. Yeah. So, that involuntarily 3.
Come on.
So is Joanne Borden.
I was in an unsafe living conditions, and I was nervous and I didn't feel safe.
They both ended up on the same path, though they started on very different roads. Joanne served in the Air Force for 7 years. Life outside the military wasn't as secure as she thought it would be.
Affordable housing is an oxymoron, and so many people on fixed incomes, they can't afford the rents that are being charged.
Tim joined the Army in 1985 at just 17. 1 year in, he decided the military wasn't for him. He was discharged thinking he'd get full military benefits. Later in life, he fell on hard times and was diagnosed with cancer. When he reached out for help, he says there was nothing to hold on to.
They had said that I had to serve 24 months consecutively before you got your benefits.
So you were either homeless or on the brink of being homeless, and the Veterans Affairs Department said there's nothing we can do.
Twice.
They both needed help in a big way. And about 2 years ago, they found it. This is Veterans Village in Kansas City, Missouri, a community made up of 49 tiny homes, specifically for U.S. veterans.
Our definition of veteran is anybody who's ever taken the oath to serve our country. So if you serve for 1 day or 100 years, you qualify for all our programs and services.
That's why people like Tim can turn here. And Brian Meyer's group, the Veterans Community Project, can do that because it doesn't take federal dollars. Those, he says, come with strings.
You'd have to cap how long somebody could be here. Just the definition of getting somebody in the door would change. Let's see what we got down here.
Meyer is a veteran himself. So are the other 3 co-founders. The nonprofit survives mainly on donations and state dollars. It needs about $1.5 million a year to keep running.
The difficult part is getting these stood up in the first place. We're building subdivisions of homes basically, and it's a big investment. But it's an investment that the ROI increases every single year.
And while Myers says the VA does important work, he says more helping hands and fewer barriers for veterans are needed. Veteran homelessness has dropped 52% since 2010, but 2023's numbers saw an increase. up 7% from 2022, the biggest increase in 13 years. The VA says that's likely due to a lack of affordable housing and the end of COVID-19 pandemic policies like eviction moratoriums. But this tiny village is hoping to make a big impact on reversing the trend.
The idea behind Veterans Community Project was really sitting down and saying, we see this issue where we have street homeless veterans. How do we really take them from street back into community and really have them set up for long-term sustainable success?
The tiny homes are the biggest draw for many of the veterans here. They come with a fully stocked kitchen, appliances, a bed, and full bathroom. And pets are welcome. But it also comes with services. Case managers connect veterans with doctors, therapists, state agencies, whatever they need to get them back on their feet and on their own.
Summer 2016, we all left our jobs. I left my law firm. We all went in on this. And in early 2018, we housed our first veterans here in Kansas City.
What has happened since then?
A lot has happened since then.
Next came a tiny home village in St. Louis and Sioux Falls, then Longmont, Colorado. Plans are underway to expand to Milwaukee and Oklahoma City. Meyer says the growth is because it works.
How do you prove this program in this village is successful?
We always look at how many veterans do we work with that successfully transition out into their own place. And you know, we're proud that around 85% of every veteran we work with is doing that.
124 veterans have come through the program in Kansas City, and 106 of them, according to Meyer, have successfully landed on their feet and in permanent housing. Tim and Joanne are about to add to that number.
So these guys helped me get set up with Section 8, so I have my own apartment.
I'm getting ready to transition out. I found a place to move.
Would that have been possible without this place?
No. I came here and I didn't have a car.
Now they both have what they say they need, not just a place to call home, but hope.
It's been a long time since I looked forward to a future.
The major cost for these tiny villages is getting them started. Meyer says that's about $12 million. But he says volunteers have largely made the effort possible. His hope is to build a tiny homes veteran community in every city in America. Meantime, the VA says in 2023, it housed nearly 40,000 veterans and awarded more than $1 billion in grants to help homeless and at-risk veterans.
Another issue many of our veterans face is one that's not always visible.
We're talking about mental health and access to care. Still ahead, an in-depth look at a treatment helping some veterans and the push to make it available to those who served.
After the first 10 sessions, I was sleeping. I slept for probably 10 hours.
Plus, you join a fitness app to help break a sweat, but scammers are leaving unsuspecting users broke and scared.
When I finally said no more, then he threatened that he was gonna, have my family killed.
The red flags you need to know to protect yourself. We want to start with a warning that this story contains discussions of suicide. If you need help, you can call the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988. Psychedelic drugs have been associated with all kinds of cultural movements from the wild times of the 1960s to music festivals of today.
But now you can find drugs like magic mushrooms and ecstasy in research labs getting another look for those therapeutic uses.
Psychedelics might be something like resetting your computer.
Dr. Peter Hendricks is a clinical psychologist at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. He's the lead researcher on 2 studies looking at the impact of psilocybin on mental health.
We've seen some very promising results around depression, around alcohol use disorder, with regard to smoking cessation.
Results that caught the attention of the Department of Veterans Affairs. In early 2024, the VA announced it would fund research for psilocybin and its potential benefits for veterans.
And it couldn't come soon enough. 23% of veterans using VA care have had PTSD at some point in their lives.
They've risked their lives for us, and we owe it to them to do better.
As the VA looks to expand therapies for mental health treatment, a veteran in Arizona says a different kind of treatment saved his life.
Reporter Nicole Kreitz has an in-depth look at hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Again, a warning, this story contains discussions of suicide.
You get stuck in a hole and you can't really dig yourself out.
Marine combat veteran Travis Blow keeps this snapshot on his cell phone, a reminder of how far he's come.
Like pain medication, depression, and anxiety, anything that could help. And then I would have to take pills to counteract some of the pills that I was taking. Yeah, it was a nightmare.
53 prescription medications twice a day, and nothing was working. He did 2 tours in Fallujah, where his best friend died in his arms.
We really didn't get to mourn that loss because we had missions to do.
And he lost more battle brothers to suicide after returning home.
I had a plan.
Even with a wife and son, Travis couldn't see a way out.
I knew where I was going to do it, and I knew when I was going to do it.
You got a phone call.
Yep.
That saved your life.
100%.
A Gold Star mom who runs a charity honoring her son, who was the first Navy SEAL killed in Iraq, paid to get Travis into hyperbaric oxygen therapy.
It was after the first 10 sessions. I was sleeping. I slept for probably 10 hours.
This pressurized chamber pumps in 100% pure oxygen while you're at the equivalent of being 66 feet below sea level.
The pressure dissolves the oxygen into the plasma, cerebral spinal fluid, and all the clear liquids in the body. So if the cells are functioning at a higher level, things are going to heal.
It's FDA approved for more than a dozen ailments, from carbon monoxide poisoning to diabetic neuropathy. And while several studies have shown it can help with PTSD and TBI, it's not covered by insurance or the VA.
And I don't understand why it's not better accepted, but it should be.
Lori Klauber runs Hyperbaric Oxygen Therapy of Arizona and just got another $10,000 grant to cover treatment for more local veterans.
I see so many of these guys that it makes such a difference in their life, and it's just very rewarding.
What proof do you need? What proof would you give them?
Me, I'm here. I'm here today because it works.
Travis managed to wean himself off all but 2 of those 53 prescriptions. A point of pride he wears with this band stamped with the names of his fallen brothers.
Yeah, I'm just grateful to be alive, and now I can actually honor my brothers in the right way by living the best life I can.
We reached out to the VA to ask why it doesn't cover this kind of therapy for veterans. A spokesperson says in 2017, the VA and Department of Defense concluded hyperbaric oxygen therapy was not a promising treatment for PTSD, citing insufficient evidence. It's also important to note the FDA has not approved hyperbaric oxygen therapy for PTSD. If you or someone you know is struggling, the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is available right now. Just dial 988. Service members and veterans can then press 1 to be connected directly to the military crisis line.
Still ahead, from the battlefields of Vietnam to a ranch in North Dakota, a friendship with a soldier blossomed into a lifelong bond.
For everything that went on between us to get us married, it was God's work.
The old letters that give the glimpse of a love story decades in the making.
Plus, she joined a fitness app to get in shape, but it only left her broke.
They said it would cost $3,800 to get this package, to have it shipped. So I paid that.
We share the story of a woman caught in a 6-figure scam and tell you how to avoid a similar fate. Social media is a place to connect with family and friends.
But lurking in plain sight are cyber criminals looking to scam unsuspecting users. According to the Federal Trade Commission, scams on social media cost Americans $1.4 billion in 2023.
A Tennessee woman who thought she found a friend on a fitness app is now tens of thousands of dollars in debt.
Reporter Holly Thompson shows us how to spot the red flags before you accept that friend request.
It started as messages of encouragement on the Fitbit app.
Fitbit puts that badge on the app, on the site, and people can like it, very much similar to Facebook.
This mid-state woman, who does not want to be identified, says a friendship formed with one user. When their conversations moved to a different messaging platform, he had a unique request. The man told her he was working a job overseas and asked if she could accept a package containing several $100,000.
He begged and said, please, I don't have anyone else.
He then connected her to a third party he called the company, and that's when she says the money requests began.
They said it would cost $3,800 to get this package, to have it shipped. So I paid that.
Then another request for money, and another, and another.
When I finally said no more, then he threatened that he was gonna, have my family killed.
The woman says she attempted to block the person multiple times, but the threatening messages continued. This text message said, "I will do anything within my power to gun you and your family down."
How frightened are you at this point?
It really is scary. It really was very scary.
Experts told her the user was able to trick her into downloading malware onto her computer.
He can track her keystrokes when she's typing in passwords. He really has full access now to everything about her.
She says the harassment continued for 3 years, ultimately costing her about $100,000, and it now has the attention of the FBI.
This mid-state woman says that man has continued to threaten her life and the lives of her children, and says she's now contacted the district attorney's office for assistance. We reached out to Fitbit to see what security measures they have in place to protect users from bad actors. Fitbit representatives told me they have several security procedures, including multi-factor authentication, as well as continuous security monitoring and recommendations for their users on privacy settings and password management. In Nashville, I'm Holly Thompson.
$100,000 lost. The internet is a scary place.
It is. Don't believe anyone, right? Yeah. And don't accept just friends from someone you don't know or have a connection to. Wow, lessons learned. Still ahead, sealed with a kiss.
It's been so long since I've heard from you.
The love story that started with the letter and a lot of guts. In the age of texts, emails, and DMs, when is the last time you wrote an old-fashioned letter? During World War II, writing letters was an important part of building soldiers' morale. To mitigate the risk of leaking war secrets, so-called postal censors read each letter. To avoid their prying eyes, soldiers would often use acronyms to send secret messages to their long-distance lovers. Some common examples: SWAC, or sealed with a loving kiss, or Italy, I trust and love you.
Well, a couple in North Dakota says letters are what led them to each other and to 50-plus years of marriage. Reporter Jody Kurzman has their love story that started in a war zone.
Dear Wayne,
these old letters are a trip back in time.
I've thought about you so much.
For Susie and Wayne Wing.
It's been so long since I've heard from you.
Susie and Wayne's letters.
How are you?
Date back to 1967.
As always, Susie Scarborough.
Wayne was drafted into the Army and sent to Vietnam.
I ended up to be a generator operator.
His sergeant sent a letter to his hometown newspaper in Texas, asking people to write to the men in his unit.
My girlfriend and I decided, let's write and just see what happens.
Susie's letters originally went to Sam McCluskey. When she sent a picture of herself, Wayne asked if he could write her back.
Good Lord just meant me to do it.
Wayne and Susie exchanged letters the whole time he was in Vietnam.
It was just something to do.
The letters continued when Wayne spent a year at Travis Air Base in California. When Wayne got out of the service, he made a detour to Texas to see Susie before returning to his family's North Dakota ranch.
I wanted to go back home and be a rancher.
Susie moved to Georgia and the two lost touch until one day she decided to try and find Wayne.
If not, I'd like to hear from you.
She sent a letter addressed to Wayne Wing Killdeer, South Dakota.
No zip code, no nothing. I just wrote it to Killdeer, South Dakota. And he got it. Now, if that ain't a sign from God saying we're supposed to be together, I don't know what is.
It's Killdeer, North Dakota. They make maps in Georgia, don't they?
Wayne says that letter was the answer to a prayer.
I prayed for Susie to, if she's still available to, I'd like to get with her, prayed, and the next day I got that letter.
We just kept writing, and it wasn't a mushy, kind of lovey-dovey story. It was just, we were friends. We were just good friends and easy to talk to.
But Wayne knew he and Susie were more than just pen pals.
When I got that letter, I knew we were going to get married. I just had a feeling.
51 years later, they're still just as in love as they were then. Their love story is written here in these letters.
Since I wrote to you.
Letters that are a reminder of what made them fall in love in the first place.
May God bless you always.
And that's it for us here on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Tisha Powell. Thanks for watching. On the next Investigate TV Plus, a devastating but common diagnosis fueled a national movement.
Her inclination was to fight it and also then to learn as much as she could about it. She knew that it would, that it would save lives. There's no question.
How a years-long fight to expose a major gap in mammogram screenings could help save thousands of lives.